My name is Juliana Nykolaiszyn with the Oklahoma State University Library. Today is Monday, March 20th, 2017, and I'm near Gould, Oklahoma in Harmon County to interview Kerald Searcey as part of our Cowboys in Every County Oral History Project. Kerald, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Well, let's begin by learning a little more about you. Could you tell me the year you were born and where you were born?
1963 in Hollis, Oklahoma.
All right. Tell me a little bit about your parents.
They were both OSU graduates. They both attended high school and graduated from Gould High School, and so did I. They were both teachers at one time. Dad, I think, taught 28 years finally, and Mom, I'm not for sure, 30, 35 years maybe on her. Anyway, they both had a career in public education.
Okay.
And Dad also, he farmed on the side while he was teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
How did your parents meet?
I'm not for sure exactly. They met, Dad was in college at OSU, and Mom was still in high school, and I'm not for sure exactly, but they dated during her senior year, and then they got married the summer that she graduated before they went to OSU in August.
Okay. And after they graduated from OSU, did they return back to the area?
I believe they went to and taught school at Sayre for 5 years, maybe a little bit longer, back in the late 50s. And then Dad got a job at Altus at the junior high school, and that's where he finished up his teaching career. And then Mom, she did some extension work and stuff, and then while we were little, she stayed out of teaching, and then she got a job at Duke High School and was a home economics teacher there till she retired.
Okay. So tell me about your siblings.
I have an older sister. She's 4 years older than I am, and then an older brother. He's 2 years older than I am, and I'm the baby.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And when you were growing up, where did you grow up?
I grew up and when I was 2.5, I was born in Hollis, and we lived in Hollis, and when I was 2.5, we moved out to the farm in this house that we're currently in. And so I was here till I graduated from Gould in '82, went 2 years at WSC at Altus at the junior college, and then finished up at OSU.
Okay. So as a young man growing up on the farm, I'm guessing you had some chores.
Yes.
Tell me about your chores.
I gathered eggs. I went out to the chicken house every day and gathered eggs. And I remember one time there was at the door, something had dug underneath the door. I didn't think any of it. I was probably 8 to 10 maybe. And I got in there and there was a dead chicken. I thought, well, something. So I gathered the eggs, and I looked down and there was a skunk. He was still alive, but he was asleep, thank goodness. And he was within probably 2 feet of me. He didn't wake up, so I ran out and the basket of eggs dropped and broke several of them. I came up to the house and told Dad, and he went down there and got a shotgun and killed it. But that was one experience of gathering eggs that I'll never forget.
Outside of eggs, any other chores? Did you have cattle at that time?
We had cattle, yeah. Mm-hmm. I just helped Dad out, when I was 9 years old. It was the first time I drove a combine by myself. And during wheat harvest, when I was younger, we had 2 combines and the trucks and pickups and stuff, and my brother and sister and I would get in a pickup. We could barely see over the dash of the vehicle, and here we'd go behind the combines and trucks to go from field to field, so we started out young.
And kept with it.
And kept with it, yes, sir.
So when you were younger, did you attend school in Gould?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you get there?
School bus. School bus came by and picked us up every morning and then dropped us off in the afternoons.
Okay. What'd you take for lunch, or did you eat lunch at school?
We ate lunch at the school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of describe the school for me.
Oh, goodness. It was a small school. I think my class was the first class to have kindergarten there. And there was probably, well, in my graduating class there was 6 of us, I believe, 5 boys and 1 girl. And there was about 3 or 4 of us that started from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. Maybe more than that.
Wow.
One of them came in 1st grade. So it was me. I guess there's 5 of us that started in pre-K or K kindergarten and went through 12th grade there.
Wow.
So, but anyway.
Hard to put one over on the teachers.
Yeah, yeah. They knew all of our tricks from years back and couldn't do the same tricks more than once.
How many students total
In the school?
While you were there?
Goodness. I'm not for sure. It'd just be a wild guess.
Okay.
As growing up, I didn't keep track of that like I would now, as an adult. But it was a small country school, so.
Did you gravitate to any particular subjects? Anything you really liked?
Oh, I was active in everything: 4-H, FFA, livestock judging, land judging. I showed cattle, pigs, lambs. I did about everything. Played basketball. I guess I stopped playing baseball when I was a sophomore, so I could help out on the farm in the spring, getting some crops planted and what have you. But other than that, I was active in about anything and everything that there was.
Did you show at the local fair, the state fair?
Yes, all of it. State fair, the local fair, the spring livestock show, the Southwest District livestock show. Back then, today it's the OIE. It was called the world's largest fat stock show, I believe is how it was. Oklahoma Fat Stock Show. I believe it's how it was worded back then.
Mm-hmm. Any particular animal you were fond of back then showing? Anything you really enjoyed showing?
I like cattle. I like to show cattle best. I just showed lambs 2 years, and then my brother was raising some pigs, and I showed some of his pigs for a few years. But cattle I liked it the best.
Mm-hmm. You wake up early having to take care of everybody?
Yeah, Dad used to go feed them, and then he'd come in the house and then go off to school. He'd leave here like at 7:15, 7:20. But after I got up in the junior high, he'd say, you need to start tending to those cattle in the morning too. So I'd start, that's when I went out in the mornings to feed, and then in the afternoons also. But I fed in the afternoons ever since I was, 3rd grade or so.
Mm-hmm. You said you were involved with 4-H as well. Did you ever go to Roundup?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
That's been a long time ago. I want to say it was like a full week back then, probably. Mm-hmm. And there'd be 25, 30 kids we'd get a school bus, and we'd all go up, and I think we'd leave on a Monday, get back on a Friday, and we just had a blast.
Was that one of the first times you visited campus, or were you there prior with your parents?
Probably was. I can't. No. When I was, my mom was taking some summer school classes up there, at least one summer, maybe 2. Anyway, I went up some and stayed with her. I had a great aunt that kept us kids there, and I was only there one week. I didn't want to go to those arts and crafts things, and so I said I want to go stay with Dad. So I was only there 1 week, and my brother and sister stayed up there, I guess 6 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever. She had summer school, but I stayed here with Dad the rest of the time. So I'm just a country boy.
As you're getting ready to graduate from Gould, are you thinking you want to go to college?
Oh yeah, I was 9 years old when I told my parents. I said I want to farm. They said okay, but you're going to college first. I said that's fine. I'll go to college. And I went 2 years at WSC as junior college here at Altus, and I just drove back and forth. And then I finished up at Stillwater in 2 years.
So at age 9, you knew.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you know?
I don't know. Ever since I was probably knee-high to a grasshopper, I'd go out and follow my dad around and do whatever he did. I remember when I was probably 5, 6 years old, we had a John Deere 95 combines. Didn't have a cab, just had a buggy top shade for it. And Dad would be up there driving, and as soon as the grain bin was right behind the driver's seat. And as soon as the wheat got up high enough that I could reach my hands over and play in it, I'd start playing in it. And I did that all summer long when we were harvesting. I'd be out there till whenever they'd take me out there, I guess at noon when Mom would bring lunch out, and I'd stay till they came in at midnight or whenever,
You were hooked.
I was hooked, yeah.
So you started out in junior college. How'd you get back and forth? Did you drive?
I drove. I carpooled with, there was 2 other people that, one of them from Gould, and then there was one from Hollis that we carpooled together.
Did you have your own car?
Yes.
What'd you have?
I had a pickup.
Mm-hmm.
It was a GMC half-ton pickup.
Okay. So you started out, and was your intention always to transfer to Stillwater,
Yes.
or just do your 2 years?
No, to transfer to Stillwater.
Okay. So tell me about your experience in Altus. What was that like for you?
It was good. I mean, it was a difference from high school to college was, a big step, but I enjoyed it. You met new friends and from other towns around, and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. And you still had time to help out on the farm
Right,
too?
yeah.
Okay. And when you transferred to Stillwater, remind me of the year again?
In the fall of '84.
Okay. So you head down to Stillwater, and where are you living?
It was an apartment right to the south of Eskimo Joe's, matter of fact. A guy I met from at Altus at the junior college. He was from Anadarko, and he and I roomed up there for 2 years, and that was the first place we stayed. Was that alley, I guess, right behind Eskimo Joe's was our alley. It was just right to the south behind Eskimo Joe's apartment complex. Don't ask me the name of it or anything like that, but it's still there because I went and saw it this spring when we took our son up there to do the senior day, I guess it was, back in January, I believe. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay. And what was your major?
I started out animal science.
Okay.
And then after one semester, I switched over to agricultural economics.
Why the switch?
I thought if OSU could help me market my farm products, cattle, grain, all that would economically, it would be more better for me maybe than just animal science. If I could get a better price and everything like that, So I switched majors and I had several hours those 3 semesters to do it, but I did it, and I'm glad I did.
Mm-hmm. Any professors come to mind that really stand out for you?
I can only remember one right now. Dr. Trapp. I think at one time later on after I graduated, he was the maybe the head, the department head maybe. I don't know who's there now. And then there's another guy. He taught. I can't think of his name though. He did commodity futures, and you simulated trades and stuff. I can't think of his name though. That's been 30 years now, more than 30. So anyway, but yeah, those classes are. I mean, they set a foothold for you, and you think I'll never use this, but you do. I mean, you know, back of your mind, you still know how to draw those graphs and stuff like that, and you know they get you started on the right foot, and then here we go in real life. You got those steps and everything set out for us that they taught us, and it helps.
Mm-hmm. Did you work while you were going to school?
No, I didn't. I worked hard enough in the summers here on the farm that I thought I'll just go up there and I'll study and not have to work, and so that's the way I did it.
Okay. Was making the transition from junior college, did it make the academic part a little easier for you since you already had a little background?
It did, but it was going from a junior college to a 4-year college. It was still another jump up.
Mm-hmm.
And my fall classes, I never did have as high a GPA that semester as I did the spring semester, because I was still farming, I guess, in my mind, and I couldn't adjust to classes and studying and stuff. But it did help me. But it's still another step, because there at Stillwater they helped you, but then again, you were kind of on your own too. You know, you had to grow up, more or less. And but anyway, I enjoyed it, and I made the cut, so here I am.
Well, you were living really close to Eskimo Joe's, and it's in the early days.
Yeah.
Did you ever visit the old building?
Not like some people did. I mean, it was even. My gosh, it was close, yes, but there was people that probably, maybe once a month or so, probably. I mean, I wasn't a regular, to say.
What'd you do for fun while you weren't in class?
Go play golf, go to the Cobbin Center and play racquetball, play basketball. Went out to Boomer Lake and watched the girls. Just stuff like that.
Tell me about the golf course.
I'm not a good golfer, but
Where was it located?
I went to Perry, I believe it was.
Really?
To the golf course.
Okay.
That's where it was. Yeah, their fees were cheaper, and on a college budget, you had to keep track of money and stuff. So another guy from Hollis, he and I would go up there to play golf. Sometimes, not every time, but you know, every now and then we would.
Where'd you pick up golf?
So just, dude, you want to play golf? Yeah, sure, let's go. Okay, you know, that's about it. You know, I played a few games with some cousins and what have you. You know, borrowed their clubs and what have you. But I mean, I'm not very good now, let me tell you. But I mean, it was something to kill an Saturday afternoon. You know, so.
Mm-hmm. I only asked because it dawned on me not too long ago that there was a campus golf course closer in Stillwater, and it's not there anymore. I think it's where now the cross-country track is, the long-distance track is. And so I wasn't sure if you played in that area.
No,
since it's no longer there. Now that we have Karsten and other places. Go to Perry. Makes sense to me. What was campus like in the 80s?
I suppose it's like it is now. I mean, you'd go to class and, some classes, I know one class I had in Ag Hall, and then the next class it was over in, over by the Searcey Center, other side of classroom building. And that's, in 10 minutes, you gotta, as soon as the class bell rings, you better be moving. Because it'd take you 10 minutes to go across campus. But that was just that one time, so. Other than that, most of them were, you can make them in 5 to 7 minutes across campus, but it's just everyday thing, I guess.
Would you attend sporting events?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went to some basketball games and most of the football games, a few wrestling matches. Went and saw there were some concerts there in Gallagher. I can't remember who it was now. I know it was there was snow on the ground and ice. And I had to walk from the apartment to Gallagher, and it was like 5 degrees or something like that. I mean, it was cold. But anyway, yeah, we'd go out to do different things and have fun, what have you.
Would you date much?
I dated a little bit, but I didn't see anyone that I wasn't ready to settle down then, I guess you might say. Anyway, about what was it, 94, I guess it was, 1994 is when I met my wife. So.
Okay. So as you're progressing through school, when you would have breaks, would you come back down here and help out on the farm?
Yes, yeah, I'd come back, not every weekend, but kind of depends on what we're doing on the farm, If I needed to be here 2 or 3 weekends in a row, sowing wheat or whatever, but I'd be home at least once a month for sure. And then spring break, yeah, I'd be here on the farm. I didn't get to go to South Texas or wherever, I came to work, so.
And did your parents ever come up to see you?
They did some, yeah. Yeah, they were still both teaching then, so they couldn't come up during the week or anything like that, but they'd come up a few times on the weekends.
Okay. So as you're getting closer to graduation, you know exactly what you're going to do.
Well, I still interviewed for jobs, and I'd interview, different companies and what have you. And then one day, my mom called and said, "Your uncle," which would be my great uncle, said he's having problems with his hired hand. He wants to talk to you when you come in. I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, his hired hand left him again." I said, "Okay, I'll be in a week or two or whenever." And so he rented his land out to me, and I bought some of his equipment, whatever I needed to farm, and then we had I think it was a 7-year contract to lease his land, and that way after that 7 years, that equipment would be paid for. And then after that 7 years, I released it for I think 7 more years, and that's how I got my foot in the door. But I guess when I was 17 years old, I bought a quarter of land too. But that I really started after I graduated from OSU. He had probably 1,000, 1,200 acres of land that I rented from him.
So you're working that land plus your quarter and helping out with your parents.
Right.
So when you started, well, let me back up before we get to your farming career. Tell me about graduation.
High school graduation or college?
College graduation.
It was in May. I don't know what day. Friday, I suppose, or Saturday. Anyway, went to the graduation ceremonies, and then my roommate's family and my family went out to eat. We already had our vehicles packed up, and as soon as we got through eating, we headed southwest.
You're ready to go.
Ready to go, yeah.
Was it at the stadium or in the Searcey?
Agriculture that year was,
Rather.
I think it was at the stadium that year.
Okay.
But they had, I just went to the agricultural ceremonies, and the college ceremonies was going to be later. And so we went to eat then, and we were hungry. So.
Did your other siblings also go to college?
My sister, she went to Weatherford all 4 years, and my brother, he started out, well, I guess he went some at Altus, and then he went some at Weatherford, but he never finished.
Okay. All right. You're home. You're farming. What are you farming?
It was wheat and cattle then.
Okay.
We'd run stocker cattle on the wheat in the wintertime, and then we have some on some grass in the summer. And
So you graduated in 86?
mhm.
Okay. And, you know, in the mid to late 80s, kind of talk about what it was like to be a farmer then.
Oh, goodness. You had to watch your inputs, and well, you still have to now. But it was, we'd plow your ground, where now it's in no-till. And so, I mean, it was different, but it's still the same, I suppose. I mean, you kind of have to adjust to what's better for you. You know, if you can cut your inputs on your crops by going no-till, I mean, that's what we did in, I think what year that was, in 2005, I guess. 2006 was our first wheat crop that was totally no-till. And I mean, back in the late 80s, I mean, I can't remember forgot the question, what you wanted, how it was.
Yeah, what was it like in the 80s? Because if I recall, I mean, it was we're kind of coming out of the farm crisis.
Yes.
At that time.
And I want to say there was a few bad years, dry years, maybe. I think in '89, maybe. And there was some in the early '90s too, some dry years. And well, in '86 was the dairy, what do they call it, dairy cow buyout, and the price of cattle went, down the tank. And but at that time, so I've been in '80s, like April of '86, and since I was at college, and Dad was, I'm trying to think when he retired. He retired in '85, I think. Anyway, we didn't have a whole lot of cattle on wheat, but after I came back, we had, picked up our cattle numbers and stuff like that. But well, we made it. I mean, it was on buying cattle. If you can buy them right, at the right price, it makes the selling price a whole lot easier. I mean, if you can buy them right, you've done 70% of your goal, you might say.
Well, then, explain to me how you buy them right. That's the trick, right?
The trick is supposed to buy low and sell high, right? Well, you have to, instead of going out and paying X amount for all black hided cattle, you may say, okay, I'll drop down a few dollars per hundred and buy some that's maybe reds and rednecks and off colored, and yeah, they're say $10 lower when you buy them, but when you sell them, they're not going to be $10. They'll maybe $2 or $3. That $10 is say $50 a head. This may be $15 a head. So you made there's a difference. I mean, it doesn't all the time work out that way, but I mean, you hope for it to. And we've sent some cattle straight to the feedlot instead of selling them to, at the local sale barn or to order buyers. But we've done all three at the same year too. I mean, it just depends on. You have to be, what's Marines say, you have to be adaptive, I believe, something like that.
When you're looking to purchase cattle, where are you buying them from, typically?
Back then we were getting them all out of Georgia.
Really?
Really, yeah. Yeah, we'd get a load, at least one load a week, from like November through January or so, December. And we've gotten cattle out of, in the last 30 years, from Texas. We've got some on the Superior video. We've got some out of Utah, Kansas, New Mexico. Got some out of, it's either North or South Dakota. I mean, you can, with the internet and video livestock auctions, you have to figure up your freight on them. But I mean, I'd try to make money.
So if you this is interesting. So if you purchase cattle online and you see it via video, how do you get them here? Do you work with a specific freight operator?
Well, a lot of those, the representative up there would get the trucks for you.
Okay.
And then you'd pay the freight on them. You know about how many miles it was, and the cost would be so much per mile. And if it'd be 1,000 miles at $3 a mile, that'd be $3,000 you'd need to add to the cost of those cattle.
That seems like it's. I'm only guessing. Is that a booming business? This online cattle auction?
Yeah. I mean, Superior, when you get home, check Superior Livestock. They're out of Fort Worth, and they'll sell, I think they have a sale every, once a month, and there'll be 75,000 head to 120,000 head. When they sell, it sells like on a Monday through Friday. They have different areas or classifications of cattle on Monday. Say Monday will be from the southeast, say. And Tuesday will be from the Midwest, and Wednesday will be from dairy cattle, say. And Thursday may be just bred cows and heifers, and then Friday will be from, from, say, New Mexico, Colorado, and Wyoming from there west. But I bought from there's other internet cattle auctions and stuff too, and but anyway, yeah.
Where's the closest feedlot to you?
The closest? Probably Canadian Texas, I bet.
And where do you usually do your business?
We fed at Hereford, Texas. We fed some at Canadian Texas. We fed some just east of Dodge City at Ford, Kansas.
Okay.
It depends on the price of the grain. So you have to figure that in. Okay, they've got a new, well, it's not new, out there around Hereford, Texas, a shuttle train car where they bring in grain from the Midwest, so it dropped their price of feed from what had been previously before they put that shuttle train in there. So see, they were thinking ahead that to stay in business they had to get cheaper grain. So somebody, I don't know if it was a co-op or group of feedlots or what, they put that railroad siding in and fixed it so they could get cheaper grain from the Midwest. Economics, agricultural economics.
It's funny how that came in really handy, huh?
It is. It sure is. That's why I changed, because I knew I liked cattle, and I thought, well, I wanted to just go animal science, and I enjoyed animal science. Dolezal, he was the meats guy. Yeah, Dolezal. Yeah, he was up there, and I loved his class. But I had some other classes in ag economics, and I thought, hey, I think I can switch over to ag economics, and it'll help me as a farmer better than just going animal science. And so that's what I did, and that's I think it helped me.
Mm-hmm. When you started in the mid-'80s, and you think about what's going on the land today, kind of talk a little bit about how you've seen the changes. Are you still growing wheat?
We're growing wheat, but also we're growing canola. Well, this past year I had wheat and canola. I had sunflowers and sesame.
Do you see a lot of sunflower and sesame in this part of the state?
I was probably the only one in two. Well, there's some, I think, up around Watauga maybe, but in this area I was the only one that had sunflowers. And sesame, there was some more grown the last few years in this area, but it's still on a small scale. It's not like wheat or cotton, you know, but it's you know, it's a niche crop.
Why sunflowers?
Well, there was I planted on 3 fields, I believe. One of them, the hail came in April and hailed it out. Even though I still harvested some canola off of it, I needed some income. And I planted it there. I planted it on another place I was going to plant in cotton, and it's got terraces on it, and they stand water from end to end. And a 4-inch rain came before I was going to plant the cotton. I thought it won't be dry enough to plant the cotton in time, so I planted sunflowers on that place. And then there's another place, a place in Dad's, that we grazed a wheat out with the cattle, and it kept raining. And so I thought, hey, I think there's enough moisture there. Let's plant some sunflowers on that. And he said, okay, whatever you want to do. So we had 3 different fields of sunflowers, over 700 acres.
How'd it do?
It did okay. I mean, that got planted first was the better. We were still trying to cut wheat, and Dad he's 87 now, so last summer he was 86. And when he'd call on the cell phone and say, come help me, you know, I need to go help him because he can't get out in the heat like he used to. And so there'd be, you know, a day or half a day or something that I needed to fix something on the combine or help him do something. And so it kind of delayed my sunflower planting and stuff, but it did okay. It did satisfactory anyway. Not great, but still, I got a check in the fall that helped, you know, makes a difference.
Would you grow it again?
If the price is right, yeah. I say I contracted it, and it's got to go to Goodland, Kansas, and they would set the trucks up. They would bring down canola meal, because they crush canola up there too. It's an ADM company. And they'd bring canola meal down to either Cheyenne, Oklahoma, or to like Delhart, Texas, and then come on down here and then backhaul the sunflower seed back up there. When I was harvesting it, you know, the price had gone down probably $2 or $3 a hundred versus what I contracted at, so I was glad I contracted it.
Interesting. You mentioned going no-till. Driving in, I didn't see a whole lot of land. It didn't look a whole lot no-till going on out in this part of the country.
Well, if there's wheat standing, I mean, unless you can see the last year's wheat stalks standing in there, it would be hard to see.
Is it popular in this part of Oklahoma?
It is, but it's kind of area wide. You get east and parts of Jackson County is no-till, and there's parts of Jackson County that's conventional till. So it's kind of in small pockets within the county.
Why did you make the decision to go no-till?
Economics. We're buying 2 semi-loads of diesel per year. Immediately that went down to 1 semi-load. We got rid of 1 4-wheel drive tractor, and we were putting, 600 to 800 hours per hour on 4-wheel drive tractors, 600 to 800 hours per year on the tractors, on each tractor. And now we're putting 300 hours on that tractor. Of course, I've got a sprayer now that's getting most of the hours, but with 2 tractors, I can plow 300 acres a day. I can spray, depends on how late I go at night, I can spray 700 acres easy in one day with a sprayer. And we'd go by different fields, and Dad would say, I remember when that field was flat, now it's got a wash in it. I'd say, really? He'd say, yeah. Well, since I came back in 86, I can see that now in 30 years. There's a little valley where water and erosion had caused, and so with going no-till, it's helping to reduce the erosion and to keep your topsoil where it's supposed to be. And we're trying to get into cover crops now and graze cover crops where it'll help build the organic matter faster, they say, by grazing your cover crops. You graze it in small areas but high stocking rates, and you don't graze it to the ground. You leave half, they're going to trample some of it, and so you graze half and leave half. And I think that's going to be the next, cover crops is going to be the next move in agriculture, and it's already started, but it's going to get bigger, I believe.
Do you talk much with your local county agent?
I do some. She's been here about 3 years or so as a agent, and I remember when she was, my wife taught her in choir when she was like 4 years old. So but yeah, she keeps me informed on different things that's happening and stuff, workshops and seminars and what have you.
How do you keep up with the new technology?
Part of it's right here, and part of it, I know my wife, she'd say back when we got married and stuff, she'd say, you read those magazines constantly when you get in from work. I said, well, that's how I'm learning about what's going on, And you just have to keep up with what's changing and everything, and internet and radio and your friends. So you need friends that are as smart, if not smarter than you, so that they can tell you about stuff that's going on. So that's.
How do you keep up with the weather?
Well, part of it, every day at 7:50 I get a text on what the weather's going to be that day. I think it said today it was supposed to be like 91. Well, before you came I looked and it said it's supposed to be 97, so I hope it's not going to be that warm. It's still, it's March. If it gets, we need a rain.
Oh yeah.
Need a rain. You always need a rain in southwest Oklahoma, but it's if it's 97, you're already cutting wheat.
Yeah. Tell me about how you met your wife.
I met her on New Year's Eve at a church New Year's Eve party. And her brother was the music and education minister at the church here in Hollis that I went to, and they had a New Year's Eve party one year, and she came up, and that's how we met.
And do you have any kids?
Have 3 kids.
Okay.
One just turned 21 yesterday, and then one's 18, and he's got his acceptance to OSU. He's going up there in August. Then I have a 10-year-old.
Okay. And are any of them interested in carrying on the tradition on the land?
The 18-year-old, he's going into ag engineering, I believe, and he says he wants to get his degree and then go do his thing, and then eventually he said he'll want to come back. But he wants to do his, he wants to do his thing to whatever he wants to do. So, And the little one, I don't know. He doesn't know yet exactly what he wants to do.
Okay. In this part of Oklahoma, do you see many OSU grads around? Your parents, of course.
There's some. There's not a whole lot. Most of them go to Weatherford or to Cameron. I mean, they're closer.
Yep.
But there's some. I think in my boys' graduating class, I think this year from Hollis, there's, I don't know, 35, 40 kids maybe. I think 4 of them are going to OSU.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the changes in Harmon County from the time when you were younger to today. How has the county changed?
There's less of us now. I mean, just in the last 10 years, I mean, the population is just getting smaller and smaller.
Why is that?
The only industry around is agriculture, and the farms keep getting bigger, and so they have less people to work on them because bigger equipment and various things like that. And I mean, it's just, we tried a few years ago to get a wind turbine company to come in, and I don't know if it was the economic crisis when it crashed in '08. If that's what they said it was. I don't know if it was exactly that or if it was some other things or what, but they pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tough. There's not a whole lot down here for people to get jobs. There's not very many of us, for one thing.
Mm-hmm. If you're going to go to town, what town do you go to?
Depends on what you want to get.
So if you're going to the grocery store,
you can go to Hollis, which is 16 miles, or you can go to Altus, which is 26 miles.
Mm-hmm. If you're going to the bank,
it's at Gould,
okay.
8 miles.
It's not too bad.
No.
And how has Gould changed?
Well, in 1990 was the last senior class they had that graduated. So it's been shut down since then. And there's less people in town there. There's still some that live there, but there's fewer of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only one business in town, and that's the bank. You got a bank, a post office, and that's it.
Hmm.
You got a fire department, volunteer fire department, stuff like that, but it's really not a business that brings in dollars. So, even in Hollis, which is the county seat of Harmon County, there's 2 convenience stores in a few years. No, there's 3. And back in the 80s, there's another one, so there's 4 then. I don't know when exactly Love's came in. Yeah, it was there when I graduated. So it's been in there then. There used to be a Pizza Hut, and that's no longer there, but there is a restaurant inside the old Pizza Hut building. There was a Sonic that came there probably in the 90s, late 80s maybe, and it was there for 5 or 6 years, and it's no longer there. There's a United grocery store. There used to be another grocery store, and it burned, and they didn't build back. So there's just one grocery store now. There used to be two. Well, there used to be three back in the 80s. And you talk to people that are 70 and 80, they can remember when there was like 5 or 6 grocery stores, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I remember when I was little, there used to be a dry cleaners place. Well, that hasn't been there since probably in the mid-70s, I imagine. So, I mean, it's just a small community. It just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Hmm. When you were younger, was there a movie theater?
Yes, there was. I remember going to a movie once there, but I can't remember what it was. I was little, but there was a movie theater. Yeah.
And did the trains in the area have an impact as well?
The trains shut down in probably the mid-70s. I want to say they stopped at Duke. They go from. It used to go on to Duke to Wellington, and they shut that line down mid-70s, I want to say, and they'd haul out the grain from the elevators with the trains, and now it all has to be trucked out.
So lots of changes.
Lots of changes.
And I'm guessing your neighbors have also changed through the years.
Yes, there's fewer of them. You know, when an older couple just 2 miles down the road, when they got older, they quit farming and they moved to town to be they bought a house, I believe it was, in town, and so nobody came back out to the farm to live in their house. And so, but yeah, it's just fewer people and there's fewer people, there's fewer places to buy goods, and so that just keeps, it's kind of like a domino effect to a sort of extent.
Mm-hmm. Are you active in any community organizations, farm organizations?
I'm on the Harmon County Farm Bureau Board.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a board member of Motley Gin, which is a cotton gin and grain elevator. I'm on Great Plains Canola Association. I'm a board member of that, which is Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, and maybe a little Colorado, kind of here in the south central United States.
You stay pretty busy.
I stay busy, yes.
Well, thinking about your time at OSU, and even in junior college at Altus, how has earning your degree and going on to get your education kind of impacted your life?
Oh, I think it's greatly impacted it. I mean, just they kind of open your eyes to different options, you know, and out in the real world, you kind of see that opening a little bit, and you say that's what they were talking about at OSU, and so you head for it, and sure enough, there's a door there, and you say, this is a great opportunity, you know, blah blah blah. I mean, they put little seeds in your head, and you have to take those seeds and nourish them, and then hopefully they'll sprout, and you know, I mean, it may last for 10 years or something, you know, kind of like we were feeding cattle that was about 10 years or so, until the price of corn got so high and you couldn't make any money by feeding your own cattle, so we just stopped feeding them and selling them to other people to let them take that additional risk. But I mean, you have to kind of roll with the punches and see what doors there are out there to open, and if there's one to open it and see what's there, and if not, then, you know, find another thing you need to do, you know. Mm-hmm. Kind of like growing canola and sesame and sunflowers, and we're going to have cotton next year too. And it was in 98, I guess, since we had cotton.
Wow.
So
it's been a while.
It's been a while, yes. Uh-huh.
So what prompted cotton?
Well, you
coming
can't
back?
make any money on wheat.
Mm.
I mean, you go look at OSU's budgets. You're going to lose, $50 an acre or so. I mean, the price of wheat, there's an oversupply. It's a worldwide oversupply, not just U.S. And there's going to have to be a weather happening or just less production to get, in America, say, to get, the supply down where the price will come up. And that's what you learn in agricultural economics.
Has oil and gas had an impact out in this part of Oklahoma?
No, they drilled some wells in 2010, like 2 wells,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't. You get further north, up around Elk City, yeah, but right here, there's not any. If it's there, they're not producing it. I'll put it that way. So.
Okay. We find that many alums are loyal to the university, and I'm from out of state, and it's something I noticed right away that OSU alums, there's just something special about them. Why do you think there is such loyalty?
Oh, you're part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know where you say you're from out of state, but you're loyal to your high school
Mm-hmm.
because you're part of that family. And I don't know what university you went to, but you're loyal to that university because you went to that university and that you're part of that family. It's the same with OSU. You go there, you spend 1, 2, 3, 4 years, or if you get a master's or doctorates or whatever, you're part of that family. You're part of that group of people that makes that family, that makes OSU who they are.
So you have a son getting ready to head down to Stillwater.
Yes,
I guess head up. What advice would you give students today? What would you tell them?
Learn all you can. Study hard. Whatever the instructor has for you to learn, you need to learn it because you may not use it then or the next 2 or 3 years, but you will be faced with a circumstance in life that you will need that information to progress, to be successful in life.
Mm-hmm. What am I missing? What have we left off?
Gosh, I don't
What
know.
have we left out?
You're the interviewer.
Well, if there's nothing else that you'd like to add, when you think about Oklahoma, and growing up in this part of the state, and working and living on the land, what does Oklahoma mean to you?
It's just my livelihood. I'd have to take the sun and the rain and I make wheat or I make corn or canola. Milo. That's how I feed my family, and I have to protect the soil that I put the seed in the ground in, so that it will benefit me, and that's why no-till, I believe, and cover crops. I'm trying to make the best seed bed, since we're not conventional plowing, but that there's still a seed bed there with no-till, and I'm trying to improve that to make it better, to hopefully withstand droughts. If there's more organic matter, which will hold more water in the soil, it'll maybe withstand a drought that a few days of an extra drought. You know, I know people. When I was growing up, we had a garden out here, and Dad would get cotton burrs and put down, and he never plowed those cotton burrs in. They were just on top of the ground. We'd plant potatoes, and set the potatoes on top of the ground, put those cotton burrs on top of it, and that way when you dig them in the fall, you didn't have a whole lot of dirt off. Well, that no-till is like the same way. You're putting a mulch over the whole field of your last year's residue, last year's crop. And with cover crops, you're growing a crop in between crops that will be your residue, will be your mulch. And we're going through some amazing times right now, just like with the cotton industry, with these round bale pickers and round bale strippers. I was asking my dad, I said, this is a big improvement of what we had in the past. He said, it's probably since they came out with the module builders back in the 70s, I suppose. And he said, this is a drastic improvement on efficiency, you know, and the way we do things. And so agriculture, you know, some people say the hick farmers and what have you, but I mean, if we don't protect the land and our crops and livestock, you know, I mean, you know, some people say that we shouldn't raise cattle and livestock and stuff. Well, what else are you going to do with the grass, you know, out in New Mexico, that it's all it is grass. You know, you have to put something on it that's going to take that grass, make it into meat to feed, you know, people in Chicago, New York, you know, Dallas, wherever. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the farmer does a good job of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I think just from the short time we spent together today, you definitely have this passion for the land and for farming. And, you know, your approach with the economics, I think, has definitely helped with the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to keep up with the times.
Right.
And
you have to keep up with the times, or the times will slip past you.
Right.
I mean.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kerald, you know, I think that, you know, I'm all done. If you have anything else you'd like to add?
I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, we definitely appreciate speaking with you and learning more about you and your time at OSU and learning more what you're doing today here out on your land in Harmon County.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.